everyone, it's Asha. Welcome to or welcome back to Reading with Asha. For today's video, I'm going to be doing my 5-star reads of 2022 right before the year is over. I hope you guys all have a great New Year's Eve. Be really safe if you're going to be partying or drinking or anything like that. Don't drink and drive. And I hope you guys have a good start to your new year. I want you to comment down below a book that you're excited to read in the new year and a habit that you're excited to adapt or that you want to try to adapt in the new year. And it might be reading more. Who knows? But I'm going to tell you guys my 5-star reads of the year, kind of tell you why they're my 5-star reads and that type of thing. I think I'm going to do a full synopsis of every single book, but just do a little general consensus of it. Most of these books are the actual books, but there is a couple of books that I read on my Kindle, or I don't have the physical copy because I'm lending it to someone or something like that. So yeah, we're going to get into my 5-star reads of 2022. Okay, so these are going to be in no particular order because I just have them all sitting out here, but this was one of my 5-star reads of 2022. I feel like it's crazy that I just read this in 2022. Like, I felt like I read this so long ago, but it was definitely January, so it is, or no, probably like February, but so it's still a long time ago, but I don't even know. This is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I'm sure if you're on booktube, you've heard of this book, or if you're on booktok or whatever it may be, I'm sure you've heard of this. This is a very hyped up book, and I think it's for a very good reason, because it's a childhood friends to lovers trope. This is the first, no, this isn't the first one that I've read, but I think this is the first one with such a wide gap, because I've read 1,000 Boy Kisses, which was childhood friends to lovers as well, but that one I think was only a few years, and I'm pretty sure this one, the gap between back then when they were like childhood friends and then now when they kind of reconnect again is 11 years, I want to say. But yeah, this is about Macy and Elliot. Some things that might make you want to read this book is both of them love books. That's how they kind of start being friends when they're younger, and he has like this little winter cabin. There's a new cover for this book now, and it's so much cuter. It like has all the little elements of the book. She has this winter cabin she goes to with her dad after her mom passes away, and there's a boy in the closet who ends up being Elliot. He's just the next door neighbor, and he likes to go in that closet to read. It's nothing scary. So it kind of sounded scary when I just said it like that. But yeah, they become best friends when they're younger, spending all their time together, and then they stop talking because there's some huge thing that happens. They reconnect like 11 years later, and you find out what happens, and they just reconnect. You know what I mean? I don't want to say anymore, but this was a really good book. I rated it 5 stars. Honestly, it was very good, and I know a lot of people love this book. I don't know if I would say that I would give it a 100% 5-star now. Maybe like a 4.75, but I don't know. My 5-star standard is very high now. The next book that I rated a 5 stars was Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. I absolutely love this book. This is Greek mythology. It's a Greek mythology retelling of Ariadne, who is the daughter of Pasiphae. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. I always feel like I'm messing it up, but she's the sister of Circe. And if you guys don't know who Pasiphae is, she's the woman who gets impregnated by the bull. Imagine the concern in people who don't know Greek mythology when I just said that. I would be concerned if I didn't know about Greek mythology and I just said someone got impregnated by a bull. I'd be like, what the anyways, or not the woman, but you know, the goddess who gets impregnated by the bull, and then her son is the Minotaur. So this girl's brother is the Minotaur, so it kind of goes through that, and then has like the whole love story and everything. It's a really, really good book if you're getting into Greek mythology and you like Song of Achilles or Circe by Madeline Miller. I would highly suggest Jennifer Saint. I don't know, actually I haven't read any other books by her, but I really liked her writing in this book, and I would highly recommend this book because if you like Greek mythology, you will totally like this, and it's definitely not hard to read or understand the Greek mythology of it at all. It was really good, and I highly recommended this one, and I loved it so much. Next up, I have Bright Side by Kim Holden. This book made me bawl my eyes out so hard, and it was the same thing for 1,000 Boy Kisses, and so many people compare 1,000 Boy Kisses to this book. Obviously, I'm not going to say why because I don't want to spoil anything, but they both make you cry very, very hard, and this is a really, really good book. The girl, the main character, Kate, is from California, I think. She moves to Minnesota, so it's like a huge life change. She has like this old childhood best friend, if I remember. I think he's in love with her, and then she meets a new dude. They both feel it, but they each have a reason to fight it because they both have secrets, so you're gonna have to read it and find out. Next up, I have A Court of Silver Flames, or the whole entire ACOTAR series just in general as a 5-star series, because I absolutely love the series. This was my favorite book out of all of them, I think. A Court of Mist and Fury and this, these were my 2 favorites, but this one I think is like my all-time favorite, which I was very surprised about because I did not like the main character of this book whatsoever. I just did not care about Nesta. She was a brat. She was not nice, but she has some great character development in this book. My dog is being annoying in the background. But yeah, I really like this book. Would highly recommend the series as a whole though if you're looking for a good 5-star series. And next up we have another Sarah J Maas book. This is the second book in the Crescent City series, which is A House of Sky and Breath. This book is so good, and specifically for the ending. I made a reading vlog of this series, mostly this book. It was just an absolute 5-star. I mean, Sarah J Maas is a great writer, and I've loved both of these series yet. I also got Throne of Glass for Christmas, so I'm super excited to read that soon and read more of her writing because I love it so much. But the end of this book is crazy, you guys. If you read ACOTAR, you gotta read Crescent City after, and you just gotta tell me, if you ever do that, if you take my recommendation right now and do that, you need to film a video of yourself and your reaction to the last few pages of this one. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Next up, we have probably one of my top 3 favorite books of the year, and it's Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau. Never know if I'm saying the last name correctly, but I did not expect to love this book as much as I did. This is a literary fiction book. It's about a girl. Her name's Mary Jane. She lives in this super strict, kind of stereotypical 1970s house. Her mom is the homekeeper. Her dad doesn't really talk or do anything or serve any purpose, really, other than to tell the mom what to do, probably. Her house is just spotless clean. Her mom's always making dinner. Then she sees a newspaper ad that this little girl in her neighborhood named Izzy needs to be babysat. So she thinks this would be a great idea. Izzy's dad is a doctor. He's a very respectable person. So her mom thinks it's a great idea too. She goes over there. She walks into the house. The house is a complete disaster. The kid always says out-of-pocket stuff. And basically nothing is like her life at home. So she just put in this whole different life, and then she finds out that Izzy's dad is actually a psychologist, which her parents don't know because they probably wouldn't think that's as respectable of a doctor. But some famous singer rock star dude comes and lives with them for his drug addiction. So she meets like this rock star and his wife, and it's so good, every single bit of it. If you like a found family trope, this is the ultimate found family book ever. I probably read this book in a few hours. It was just so good. I flew right through it and I loved it so much, so I would highly recommend this. Next up we have Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. I love this book so much. This is my first TJ Klune book that I've ever read. It's about a man named Wallace, and he's basically like a Scrooge. He's just a jerk. He's not nice. Out of nowhere, he gets a heart attack. He dies. He ends up getting picked up by this reaper at his funeral, which only like 3 people go to because he was a shitty person. And she takes him to this tea house, which is actually basically a passageway to the afterworld, or the great beyond, if you will. And Wallace meets Hugo, who is the one who helps all of the dead people pass over. But he also owns the tea house, and it's like a normal tea house too. And there's just a lot of fun elements in this. There's a ghost dog, a ghost grandpa. I did not expect to love this book as much as I did. I feel like it was a little slow getting into at the beginning, but then once I got into it, it was just so interesting and so fun. And this book made me bawl my eyes out, which I feel like a lot of people who read it could say the same thing. Next up was a reread, and I reread The Giver, which I read this probably in like 5th grade or something. I know I remember loving it in 5th grade, but also I was in 5th grade, so I really didn't know what the hell was going on, you know what I mean? So I was like, well, let me reread it. So I reread it like right before Christmas, and for some reason this book was such a good Christmas book. There's a very good reason for it. If you read this, you'll know what I mean. But I really love this book so much. This is one of my favorite books ever in the history of books that I've read, and I think everyone should read it. I mean, I'm glad they make you read it in 5th grade, but also I feel like it should be a little older because you just really should be able to understand it. But this is such a good, easy read. And if you guys don't know what The Giver is about, it's about a kid. His name is Jonas. Everything in his community is basically perfect. It's controlled. When they turn 12 years old, they get assigned the job for the rest of their life. You're assigned your husband. You're assigned your wife. Like, everything is so crazy under control in this community. And when Jonas goes to get his job, he gets this whack job called the receiver, and he's like, what? I've never heard of this, and there was no training or anything that he could have done to prepare himself for this job, which is the one who receives all of the memories from the giver. The giver holds all the memories basically of life and the world outside of this community. So like the people who live there have no clue what's going on outside of it. They think that everything in their world is the only normal thing. So they don't know what like music is or anything like that, just for example. And this book is so good and so amazing, and I loved it so much, and I hope you guys will read it. If you do read it, please let me know. If you've never read it before, I would highly recommend it, and it's such a short, easy read. All right, next up, I have my favorite series of the year, and probably like 5 of these books were 5-star reads for me. So we have, these were actually the first books I read this year. We have the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. I'm sure you've heard of this series before. You might not have read it though, which I didn't read it or even really watch the movies before I read it the first of last year. And I would just like to say that I am so glad I read this. This easily became one of the most exciting things about my life. I'm just kidding. I love Harry Potter so much. After I read it, of course, I watched all the movies, found out what house I was in. I'm going to Universal Studios soon. So all of it is just so amazing. I love Harry Potter so much. It's just so fun and literally magical. My animals are being wild the whole entire time. Like, look, this is what's going on right now. And she can't get down from there. She's gonna make me get her down. You know what? You support these kids, you support your kids, and then they just do stuff like this. So sorry about that. Anyways, that's gonna be it for this video. If you did read a lot of good books this year, comment your favorite book that you read down below because I'm curious to hear about it. I love you all so much, and I will see you in my next video, which will be in the new year. So happy new year. I love you and goodbye.